Hello everybody. Let's take today's Ask JP question. This is Aditya Saraswatula from Hyderabad, Telangana state. Aditya works in IT sector.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
My name is Aditya. I'm working as an IT employee from Hyderabad, Telangana. I'm a huge fan of you, sir. So, to get going with the questions, I would like to, hear from you on what are some of the reforms that are needed in our tax system today. Because personally, I coming from a middle class family, I'm not at all happy with the tax system that is being run today, and especially being as an individual income tax payer, I'm not getting anything from the government in terms of proper facilities that a taxpayer would be needed. So how can we bring an accountability from the government standpoint for the taxpayer? And the second thing is how the government should reform it in accordance with the inflation, in accordance with the prices of oil, in terms of average household income. How What are some of the reforms that are needed in the tax system today, and how it would benefit the middle class with the kind of reforms you would be proposing? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Aditya. This is the month of June. 15th of June was the last date for paying advance income tax for many of the income tax SSCs. I don't think there is anyone among us in the country, the taxpayers, the middle classes, who would feel happy about signing the checks. We don't grudge paying taxes because we all understand taxation is the basis of civilization. But if taxes are simply taken as a matter of right by the government, there is all-round plunder and corruption. If you're not getting basic services, infrastructure is bad, economy is not growing, and there is no rule of law, our rights are not respected. If there's a bit of rainfall, there is flooding in the streets. There is no proper sewerage system. Water supply doesn't come. We all see all these problems every day. So we're all getting into gated communities. We are figuring out solutions for ourselves. We're not depending on the government. So obviously we feel the pain. Nobody pays tax happily when they feel that for the money they're paying, they're not getting any services or the infrastructure back or rule of law back. And in India, in a large part, the government is failing in delivering its outcomes. But government wants to somehow entice voters, the poorer and lower middle class segment of voters, to vote by offering short-term individual welfare measures at the cost of their main responsibility of collective good and long-term promotion of wealth creation. This way our political parties are perfected in India. That frustration is what Aditya is expressing. All of us feel in different ways. But let us deconstruct this question. First, about taxation. Are our tax rates very high on the whole? No. There was a time when our tax rates were very high. In 1970s, many viewers may be shocked to hear this, young people. You know what our tax rate at the high income bracket was in 1970s? Mark my words. It was 97.75%. I'm not misspeaking. 97.75%. How? For income above 2 lakh rupees, that was regarded as very high income in those days, there was 85% tax. In fact, if it crossed 1 lakh, it was 85% tax first. For above 2 lakhs, there was a 15% surcharge on income tax. Now take 15% of 85%. A simple arithmetic tells you, take a calculator, 12.75. Take 85 plus 12.75, 97.75%. It is shocking but true. There was a time in India for decades when having an honest income was regarded as a sinful thing. And government took away 90% or more of your money. So what happened? Most people did not register income. Black money became endemic. Cash economy became the norm. So only those who could not conceal their income, who had to receive their income by check, they had to pay taxes. From that tragic situation, we come to a more rational situation. Now, top income tax rate is 30%. On that, there is a 4% cess, education, healthcare, whatever they are saying. It's not bad by global standards. But there is a problem. In our socialist propensity, for incomes, the high incomes, like a 2 lakh rupees surcharge at that time, until the recent budget, for incomes which are exceeding a certain amount, the surcharge was 37%. That means you pay 30% tax, and 30% you pay another 11.1% or so, 11.2% or so, on 30% you pay surcharge, and 41.1% you then pay 4%. That comes to another 1.6 or 1.7%. That means it's coming to roughly 43% tax, which outside of Scandinavian countries is the highest tax bracket. In the recent budget, they made the highest surcharge 25%. It's a bad idea. You must reduce it further or eliminate the further surcharge altogether. Otherwise, 33% is a reasonable taxation. Because our tax GDP ratio is only about 19% or thereabout. That means the total amount collected by the union government and state governments as a share of GDP in the form of taxes or other forms of non-tax revenue included, collected directly from the people in the form of fees, etc., is only about 19 rupees, which is okay for our level of per capita income, but we can't reduce it further because then there is no money for infrastructure and many things that are required. So, in terms of tax structure being reformed, you can simplify it further, you can make it easier, and certainly over the past several years and decades, significant improvement has taken place, not only in tax rates, but also simplification, self-assessment, and some transparent ways of dealing with things. Though there are some difficulties even now, things have improved, and certainly that improvement must continue and simplified. In terms of rates, as I said, the surcharge I think is not a correct thing to do. Otherwise, the rates are okay. But the second part of the question is a really important one, what Aditya asked. Whatever be the tax rate, if I pay taxes, it's more like they have a right to collect it. There is no obligation to give me something in return as a citizen. It is almost like a hafta given to a rowdy. It doesn't really translate into the services and the quality of goods for me. Then why am I paying taxes if the roads are bad? If water supply is erratic? If I depend on my own private water sources? If power supply is erratic, I'm paying for power and water, remember. Unless some governments are so reckless, they're offering even free power and free water. Nobody asked them. They just wanted the votes. They're destroying the system. But that's a separate issue. So if rule of law is not there, if I have a dispute with a neighbor, there is no realistic hope of getting a court settle the matter fairly, speedily, inexpensively. I have to go to either a gunda or a policeman or an influential politician or swallow injustice silently and suffer. That is the reality of India, we know that. A case takes years and years, that's the government's job. So infrastructure, basic amenities, water supply, sewerage, sanitation, your parks and other things, traffic management, and your stormwater drainage, we see all these are very deficient. We are among the worst in the world. In the 50 largest economies of the world, in all these areas, India ranks in the bottom 5. I'm not saying it to humiliate our country. We all love our country. We respect our tradition, our culture. We are optimistic. We want a better India. But we also must recognize where our governments are failing for no fault of the people. That is the true purpose of politics, not who wins and who loses the elections. It's about what happens with my tax money and what happens with my vote. So how do we set it right? Obviously, we all must understand what is happening in our country. How much money is going, what are we getting in return, how much we are forced to spend. Even poor families are forced to spend tens of thousands of rupees for giving children a better chance at education. Why should a poor family, a vegetable vendor's family, a rickshaw puller's family, an auto driver's family, Why should they spend 30, 40,000 rupees for school education after paying taxes? What is the government doing with the tax money? Where is the lakhs of crores of rupees spent on education going? If that's not giving my child good education, what is it for? Healthcare. 6 crore people are becoming poor every year. They're descending into poverty in India for want of access to healthcare. Many people are prematurely dying, or they're not able to work when there is illness, preventable illness, or there's no proper treatment. And they're becoming poor because they're selling the assets or they don't have the income. And if even decent healthcare is not provided without out-of-pocket expenditure, what is government for? I think we must raise our voice collectively. We must not get lost in this caste, region, religion, language, politics, this party, that party. We must hold them to account. How is the infrastructure doing? Are we having better roads, better power systems, better water supply, better stormwater drainage, better parks, better traffic management, most of all, better rule of law, police, prosecution, forensics, civil cases, dispute resolution, courts, their functioning, speed, efficiency, fairness, justice, expense. We must hold them to account on this basis, not on caste, religion, region, and party symbol, etc. The second part is institutionally, if the power is decentralized as much as possible, if in local government most things get done, there is a greater link between the taxes I pay, Aditya very graphically expressed, I pay taxes, I don't get services. That linkage between taxes and services is much more clear if the government is more and more local. The simplest example is the apartment. I always give this example because it's very simple to understand and it's real. In an apartment complex, all of us, we pay monthly maintenance fee, call it a tax. We choose a team to lead us, call it an elected government or representatives. The moment the lift does not function, the moment we don't get to our flat water supply, the moment the parking is bad, the moment there is no watch and ward, there is no safety and security, we all raise our voice immediately in the apartment complex because we know exactly where our money is expected to go. And when we don't get the service we're expecting, we know what is the pain we are facing. Immediately we raise our voice. We make them do things right, or we will change them. We'll put a better team, or we'll ourselves go and take charge. That is how democracy should work. That is true democracy. The rest of it is only derivative. It's only a great celebration, a lot of tamasha, a lot of polarization on caste, region, religion. But in a large measure, the link between taxes and services is missing. While all services cannot be transferred to local government, as far as practicable, 60, 70, 80% can be at the local level because these are things that matter to our lives. Every country on earth except India is more decentralized than us. We are the most centralized government among significant countries in the world. China, a dictatorship, has more decentralized government. Local governments are very powerful and effective there. Even Pakistan and Bangladesh, local governments are better. Even Latin American countries going through tremendous political crisis, local governments are stronger, more accountable, more powerful. Even large parts of Africa, local governments are better. Somehow in India, everything is about PM and CM. The union government and the state, nothing else matters. And that makes it even more difficult to find a link between taxes and services. And all of us feel this angst, this pain when we pay taxes. But more important, we are suffering because the collective good is ignored by the governments. And because governments are not able to do their job, what do they do to get the votes? All kinds of short-term free things. You see the Karnataka election. You see Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, many states. Almost every state is in the same boat. Short-term individual welfare. It's necessary. But if that's all what the government does at the cost of the long-term good, what right do you have to collect taxes? Why do you have a government at all? Why do you need a government? If it's charity, then good people, they are more charitable. They want to help their fellow citizens. That's not the main job of the government. Government's main job is to take care of the collective needs which we individuals cannot take care. However rich and powerful we may be, the road, the power sector, the water supply, the stormwater drainage, the sewerage, the court system, the police system, the fairness, these have to be done by something, a larger entity for the collective good. Individuals cannot do that. And there our governments are spectacularly failing. So Aditya, your point is extremely valid. And we must raise our voice, and we must also decentralize power and hold the government to account every day, not on caste and region, religion lines, but on these lines. What am I getting for the taxes I pay? In every country in the world, civilized countries, people see themselves as taxpayers. The language that you are taxpayers' money is being spent in this way, is the normal language of politics and public discourse. In India, this caste and that caste, this party and that party, who is aligning with who is dining with whom, whose son is becoming an MLA, whose daughter is becoming an MP. Not about you and I and our collective needs and our services for the taxes we pay. We must change this discourse.